Hello, everyone. I'm Angeline, and she's Resa, and welcome to episode 113 of With the Quickness.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday indeed. Today, we're going to share our takeaways from the August 14th, 2022 sermons given at First Baptist Church in Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey, and a past sermon given at Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church located in Chicago, Illinois. So, Resa, what is your takeaway from First Baptist today?
So my takeaway for First Baptist is you have to have confidence.
Nice. My takeaway was limit any opinion about yourself that opposes God's will. Instead, remember that you can do all things through Christ. What is your big takeaway for Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church?
Basically, when you are having a conversation with God, it needs to be like a real conversation.
Nice. My big takeaway is ask God to bless you in order to bless another person's house. I like that. I think what we're doing is giving back. And I think it's important that we remember not just to ask for things for us, but ask how we can be a blessing to others. So we're going to get more into those two sermons a little later in the show. But right now, it's time for Resa's playlist. Resa, what's the song of the week for this week?
Okay, so the song of the week this week is actually a group that's from my home state. The group is called the group Fire. The song is Anything But Fail from their album from their album titled Heal the Land, and it was just released June 3rd of this year. Nice. Basically, the premise of the song is that, God can do a lot of things, whether it be big or small, but God will never fail.
Nice. You said they're from Jersey.
They are from Jersey.
What part of Jersey?
They're from Newark, New Jersey.
Newark, New Jersey. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you said it's a group. How many are in the group? And do you have their names or?
So I do have their names: Sherelle, Jawan, Tajon, Al, and the newest member, Justin.
Oh, great. So why did you pick this song? What did you like about it?
So I like the fact that, again, it does talk about how God can do anything, whether it be big or small, but he really doesn't fail because he died for our sins. So.
Well, I know when you were picking up the song, I went through and looked at some of their videos. Resa, they've come a long way in their video game. In the beginning, that was first videos. What did you say reminded you of the first videos?
Oh, it reminded me of like TV production. Now, there's no shade.
In high school,
towards TV production.
In high school.
I used to be in, wasn't it high school? Yeah, I used to be in a high school TV production, so I get it. So it's no shade.
Yeah, it was no shade, but it's true. It looks like high school TV production the way it looked.
It did.
But then they hit that one video. What's it called?
Hold on.
Fix It.
Yeah, Fix It.
Fix It. That was on all the radios and stuff, all the Christian stations. And that video looks like a little gospel New Edition done bust on the scene. It was really well done. The cinematography was excellent. The acting, they did a little bit of acting, those facial expressions and stuff. They were doing their thing out there. I don't know if that was shot in Newark or not. It looks like it could have been, but they did a good job.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
And so is the latest video out yet for them? Or you said the song came out in June?
Well, the album came out in June.
When did the single come out?
The single came out, so the song came out in April of this year. Mm-hmm. So there isn't a video out as of yet. They only have a lyric video on their YouTube page.
Okay, we'll link that video to our With the Quickness spot for the song of the week on the playlist tab. So people that wish to hear the song in its totality and see the lyrics, they can all catch it there and support the guys from Jersey.
Of course, Jersey's own.
I know. I'm pretty happy about that. I believe they're not the same age as New Edition right now. These are young men, not older men, right?
Right. So that's why they're being compared to like New Edition and the Winans, but back in the day, because they are like a younger group.
They're a younger group. Okay. All right, good. I'm looking forward to playing their music. And you know what? I mean, even though we don't have their official video up, since they're Jersey guys, Auntie Ann, she is going to make sure we put up that video when it hits. We're still going to put it up on our website again somewhere, so our people can actually know. We'll talk about it when it drops, so that way people will actually know it's out now. Go watch it. So I have a feeling if they do dance moves again, like New Edition, like they did last time, and I'm a New Edition girl. I grew up on New Edition.
Yeah.
If they do dance moves again, I'm going to be all down for it. Because for me, they kind of remind me of not the early New Edition, the Candy Girl age. No. They remind me of the Boys to Men part of New Edition. Remember how they came out all clean with Johnny Gill?
Yeah.
And it was a whole nother level. That's how they're coming out right now. So the videos they're putting out now is more polished like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more Boys to Men instead of Candy Girl, like the audio visual thing in the beginning.
Right. Because their age groups, their age range is like, I believe from 18 up to 29. So they're definitely in like the young adult category.
I thought Al was 30.
No, he's 29.
I thought he turned 30. You sure?
Well, he probably just turned 30.
I think he just turned 30.
So the age group of the guys are from 18 to 30. So they're pretty much like young. They're in like the young adult like range.
Yeah, because Terrell, the lead singer, he's like about 26, 27, somewhere around there. So they're really good. They're really good. I was kind of happy with that came out of Jersey. I felt proud a little bit. I was like, that's how we doing it in Jersey? Wow. And you know the only thing missing for us now? We need to find that TLC equivalent of gospel for Jersey for girls, like a 3-girl group, you know.
Well, TLC came from Atlanta, though. They didn't come from
No. I said equivalent.
Oh.
I want that gospel version of TLC, someone that raps, someone that, you know, has that, you know, soulful, jazzful, and then that R&B. Yeah, I want it all there, right there, like a gospel version of TLC right there, but from Jersey with the Jersey swag. I would like that. I would like that.
I'm sure it'll probably come out soon.
Or it might be out here somewhere. We got to find if that already exists.
Maybe.
Because I didn't know the gospel version of Early Whining / New Edition was out here until you brought it up this month. I was like, wow, okay.
Right.
And I've been hearing these songs forever, but I heard their song all year long. Not all year. I've heard their songs, all year long. You know, I heard Fix It all the time. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, that's a good sounding group. Never thought for a minute they're from Jersey.
I have them on. Technically, I have a song from them on the place. I didn't know they're from Jersey either. And so I was like, wait a second, they're from Jersey.
They have to represent that more somehow. I don't know. I mean, we don't have the best football team or basketball team, I would say, put that gear on like that. Yeah.
Well, we used to have a basketball team. It was the Nets, but then they moved to Brooklyn. So
yeah,
I don't know
that's
why.
Still a sore spot for Jersey people. It's like, dude,
it is
like New York doesn't already have a basketball team. Why you gotta take the Jets?
I mean
the Nets.
I think the only thing we have is like a hockey team.
We have hockey.
Yeah,
they're moving everything. And the if you go to where the New York football,
it's in Jersey.
It's in Jersey. East Rutherford is still Jersey.
Right.
Like, dude, really?
No, you don't understand how annoyed I got when I went to a concert. I'm not going to say who it was, but it was a certain male artist that was at East Rutherford. And they said to the crowd, "What's up, New York?" And I'm like, this is Jersey. Like, I know.
Like, that's the worst thing about it. Everybody is so wanting to grab the stuff that's close and up there for themselves, and they forget you're standing on Jersey ground.
Right.
You know, that stadium's in Jersey.
Right. I was like, show my state some respect. Like, I know people like to give Jersey a bad name, but technically a lot of people live here, but they go to work in New York. So
a lot of people work in New York, but they live right here in Jersey. You're so right. You are so right. We have good schools.
We do.
You know, we have great people and we have good food. Now, New York has more delicacies of food because that's New York. And you have so many people from all over the world that live there.
Of course.
Jersey is a great place to be. You right close to Philadelphia, Delaware, and New York, and Connecticut. We all right there, you know?
Exactly. It's like, I love Jersey. Like, and I also love New York too, because New York has like its own energy about it. Like when you go there, like you feel like you feel as though you can stay up like for a whole 24 hours.
It does. It feels like that place doesn't sleep.
Yeah,
Jersey, we're like party, time to go to bed.
Exactly.
New York is like, we're partying all the time. Right. And then they tag your friend to jump in while you go take a break and get some Red Bull or coffee and keep it going. We're not like that in Jersey. Jersey is like, we'll get turned up from the times that work for us. But then we look at our watch and say, it's time to go to work in the morning. It's time to call this a night.
Exactly. And we have diners. And we have diners. So
we're gonna get something to eat before we go to bed. Because Jersey people know if you're gonna be up at night and you got to get up first thing in the morning, eat a good breakfast, go to bed, and then get up and go right to work. And don't worry about food till lunchtime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we do have great diners here.
We do.
Come ask any truck driver. The best place to get some food is Jersey on your way up to New York or Jersey on your way down to PA. So it is what it is. So,
I agree.
well, you picked a really good song, and thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to playing it on your playlist. Have you moved around the songs on the playlist lately, or you're going to be doing that again soon? Like you said, you like to shuffle them a little.
Yeah, I haven't done it as of yet, but I'll definitely be doing that this up and coming weeks. I have some, more time to actually move it the way I want to move it. So
yeah, or you could do it in between our seasons. When season 1 ends, maybe go back and reshuffle. Do you think we should actually keep adding for the seasons and make it longer, or have one for each season, a playlist? What do you think?
I think one for each season, no?
I don't know. I was asking you. I mean, because they both look pretty good, and I don't know if you want to have a new playlist that has one up there for the next season. One.
Well, I could like retitle it to say season 1's playlist, because if you think about it, like shows, they do have playlists for each season.
Ah, nice thinking, Grasshopper. I like that. Then let's do that. That sounds like a good plan.
Right.
For that way, whoever you're following along, the podcast, you can know which one has the song on it.
Right. And plus, that could be like a little time capsule to say, okay, during this period, there are songs on there that I featured, but there are also songs on there that were not featured, but they still made the playlist for their artistry during that time.
Great. I totally agree. And I'm so looking forward to the song you do for the next couple of weeks of this season. But this is a great song. Jersey's represented. Love that.
Yes.
And got males singing, we're mixing it up. Males and females are getting a good mixture. Still looking for that TLC group, though. We could find that gospel TLC. I bet you it's already out here somewhere. I just don't know where it is.
Honestly, it probably is, but we'll find it.
We'll find it. Yeah. They're going to have a hit that's going to come on our radar, and then they'll be featured. Yeah. They could just be still working. They could still be working on themselves, Who knows? Of course. Just in their home state somewhere, only local people know about them. Remember how Selena did it? She was all over in Texas and Corpus Christi doing her thing. Mm-hmm. And then when she got launched in the national scene, everybody in her hometown knew. We knew they would make it. We knew she would make it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like that. They're right now working, and we're going to find out about them when it's time for us to find about them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Resa. I really appreciate you sharing your playlist this week.
You're very welcome.
All right, let's go on to the bulk of our show, the main content. We're going to go to First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey. The praise and worship singers and musicians set the tone in the sanctuary this morning, and they were extremely good. And they actually, this Sunday, we blessed 4 families, presented their children to the Lord for blessing. And they had 5 young ladies. And get this, Resa, all of their names started with the letter A. And I say that with pride because my name starts with the letter A. Let me see if I got all their names right. Okay. There was Elena, Amara, Ariana, Aaliyah, and Alana. Right there. Those are the alpha babies as far as I'm concerned. Those are the ones that, on this date and time during our first season of our podcast, got all presented to the Lord, their A's. I love that. I thought they were absolutely beautiful. And Pastor Quick made it a big point about the church really supporting and lifting up children, and don't try to correct the child that you didn't get a chance to know. I thought that was so important. You know how many little young girls come into church thinking they look cute, and their dress is a little bit above the knee, and they're like 8 years old or 10 years old. And then someone that doesn't know them and says, pull your skirt down. Or, put this to cover over your knees. Not their mother, not their auntie, just someone that doesn't even know them. Doesn't even know their name.
It's just weird. Because I have friends who have kids. I don't try to parent their kids. Like, they have parents. It's not me. So I just leave it. I let the parents, let the parents be a parent. Now, if you want to foster some kids that may not have parents, by all means, but they're not your kids, just leave it alone. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and not to not know their names and you're correcting them, like telling someone to sit down or stop running in church, and you don't even know who you're talking to. You just go, stop running, sit down.
It's
church, if I was a kid, I'll say church people are mean.
No, it's giving me very hall monitor. Like, why are you telling me what to do?
Exactly. And so Pastor Quick was very quick to say, it's our job as a church to get to know these young people, as we watch these babies grow up, make it a point to get to know the families and get to know the children, Right. And then when sister or brother and so says, stop running in the halls, little Alana, it makes more sense because they've known Alana and Alana's known them since she was a little baby.
Right. Because I know a lot of kids get weirded out when a random person tells them I know I did. I was like, okay, I don't even know you, but all right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Weird. After he presented the babies for blessing, Reverend Quick introduced the August I Press My Gift theme. And he actually, in that moment of I Press My Gift, he featured Sister Jasmine Malloy, who is the small group facilitator at First Baptist, and she's a curator of the Museum of Art in Newark. Newark is still on the radar with this podcast. Do you see that, Resa?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And she's also an artist. He encouraged everyone, Pastor Quick encouraged everyone, if you hadn't done it already, to please take the gift assessment survey, which is listed on the website. I went to the website, Resa. I couldn't quite find it. Okay. But I do know they sent me my personal email. So I do think if you're having a problem finding it, send an email and ask them exactly where the link is. I couldn't find it quickly myself. Like I pressed on the banner and nothing happened to press my gift banner. So maybe it's another place that I couldn't find quickly. I got it in my email. And it's a PDF that you actually have to fill out. I think it's like 7 pages or so of your gift assessment. I know I haven't done it yet. I told people on the online, they're on YouTube during the service. I said, take your time filling it out. I mean, it's more of a resource for you than anyone else. So I would answer truthfully, take your time. Don't worry about one of your friends and what they would put for different answers. Put what you think you should put down. Yeah. And it will help you see where you could probably use your gifts in service of the Lord. Then after that, we had 9 people accept the right hand of fellowship at First Baptist. And then before Pastor Quick got into his sermon, he sent out a hearty congratulations to Reverend Dr. Jacqueline Thompson. You remember that name, right? We went to her church in Oakland. It's Allen Baptist Church. She was voted the 2nd vice president of the Progressive National Baptist Convention. So we also extend our hearty congratulations to her. And I know her congregation is probably extremely happy over at Allen Baptist.
Of course.
Right, Resa?
Congratulations. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I think she might be the first woman in that spot too.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That is.
Woo! So she's doing big things. Okay, for the Lord. We appreciate that. And we appreciate that, her and our pastor have been good friends over the years. And that when he calls, she comes and she'll give us a word. And I'm sure the same thing goes for him. If she needs someone, he will come over and give a word on to her congregation. So that was the start of, First Baptist. Then Pastor Quick went right into his sermon, which comes from the scriptures of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verses 5 through 10 of the New Revised Standard Version. Pastor Quick began by reminding us that negative self-thought can enslave us. He said, freedom is an inside job. And that's so true. We can continually tell ourselves something negatively over and over again and kind of give ourselves kind of like a paralysis by not doing anything whatsoever because of the thoughts going on in our head. Pastor Quick said he was able to reach his potential by one, he was moved by Benjamin Mays and the things he said to him about tapping into who he is. Pastor Quick's mother also never stopped believing in him and helping him achieve his academic goals. He mentioned a part in the sermon where he had to study German to get his degree. I don't know why it was German and not Spanish or French or something like that, but it was German. And so he was instructed by a counselor to stop thinking that he couldn't learn the language and couldn't speak the language. He was like talking himself out of it. So he had to really be saying the right things and pouring into himself correctly in order to, master the language. And which is very important. I think we all have tried to attempt certain things, Resa, that, our grandparents and great-grandparents could only dream of, and we already talk ourselves out of it. Have you ever been a place where you talked yourself out of, or said, I'm not going to try just because it was something new or something different?
Yeah, I've done that quite a few times, whether it be professionally, in my professional life, in my personal life. I sometimes, like you said, I may forget that my ancestors, who went through a lot, could only wish to have an opportunity like that. And before I even get the opportunity, I'm already talking myself out of it, which is not.
There's some people that won't even think about getting a house. They've lived in an apartment. Their mother has lived in an apartment. Their grandmothers always lived in an apartment. So to become a homeowner seems like something that's not for them in their mind because no one in the family around them has done it. And you can be bogged down that way. I know my own sister, when she was getting her first house, I hate to say it, but she said her mom kind of was trying to talk her out of it. She said, mom was trying to talk me out of it a little bit to get my own house. I was like, really? She's like, yeah. I said, what are you going to do? She goes, I'm going to do it anyway. Because she knew, grandma had her own house with grandpa. Yes, our mother was in an apartment, had been in apartments for most of our upbringing that we could remember, but she deserves a house. She believed she deserved a house. She saw her friends getting their homes and stuff like that. And she knew it was something that she wanted to attempt. And luckily she did, because it made me get my house and it made my brother get his house. And, and my mother, now that my sister has passed, she's living in my sister's home in Florida. My sister had 2 homes. She had one in Baltimore and one in Florida. So it actually worked out that she did. The fact that she took the step first and extended herself not only helped her, but it helped others. But how many of us get boggled down by the negative? She would have been like a person that was trapped in the negativity of home ownership. She would have never attempted.
Yeah, that's like people that start up their own business, because a lot of people nowadays are, they would rather be their own like CEO than to work for a different company. And sometimes when people say that, the company that they keep may be negative and say, oh, like there's no way that you can have your own business and be successful and blah blah blah. But if you quiet the noise and you follow your heart and your gut and you keep God first, like 9 times out of 10, those people end up having a very successful business and they're actually happy.
You're absolutely right. It's a leap of faith. But the negative talks is something that only you can stop. You can pray to God to help you stop it. I know a lot of motivational speakers say that when a negative thought comes in, you need to replace it with something positive in order to break that cycle of always talking negatively to yourself.
Right.
Well, Pastor Quick went on and talked about Karl Barth, who is a Swiss theologian who wrote a multi-volume theological work called The Church Dogmatics. He believed telling the story of God is telling our story. Barth's works, along with Pastor Quick's own life's philosophy, inspired him to give us a new term this Sunday, Godfidence.
Yeah, so it's God and confidence put together.
And that's what you said at the beginning of the show, right, Resa?
Right.
Which is?
Basically, it is God and confidence put together. So it's Godfidence.
Makes sense. It makes sense. And if we keep that in mind, that the negative thoughts come in and just have more confidence, Godfidence in our mind and in our spirit, we might be able to push that thought out. He said he also referenced a Cleveland Clinic article, How to Turn Negative Thinking Around, which featured answers given by the psychologist Scott Bay. Dr. Bay revealed most sticky thoughts are negative. He also stated it's estimated that approximately 94% of the time, we worry about things that will not happen. Oh, that kind of hit me a little bit. I was like, that is so true. There's been so many things I've kind of fixated on and thought about the different scenarios and how it would be. And it was a waste of time.
Story of my life. Because like when he said that, the first thing I thought of is, okay, so fun fact. I get like when I have to go somewhere that I've never been to before, I immediately I feel very anxious. And I'm thinking of all the worst case scenarios, and it's actually happened to me a couple of years back when I was going to a birthday dinner. And it was at a location that I've never been before. And I was on the phone with my sister and I was talking through it because I was just I'm feeling anxious. What if, I don't know, I hit a tree, or what if I ran out of gas and I'm in a bad location? And these are all irrational things because, and I say that they're irrational because I had a GPS system.
You had a full tank of gas.
Yeah, I had a full tank of gas. And I'm just my phone was charged. So if God forbid something did go awry, people would have been called. And
you're still in New Jersey. Yeah, the party was still in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, and it was still in Jersey. So it wasn't even, but that's just how I looked at it from that example when he said that, you're thinking of irrational things for whatever reason.
Yeah. Pastor Quick said he wanted us to reclaim our peace by surrendering the things that you were worrying about, trusting God instead. And so that's what you decided to do. You're no, I'm not going to do that fixating on everything goes wrong. It's okay to look at where it is on the map and see what roads I'm taking to get there. It's okay to make sure your GPS is charged up and your car has enough gas, but not to be fixated on every possible thing that could possibly go wrong driving to the party.
Right. Because now what I do, if I get an invite, obviously in advance, I'll go to the place beforehand so I know how to get there. And I'm I'm good.
Well, you get that from me. When I was younger, when I was first starting to work, and I think you got that from me because when I was first starting to work after being married to your dad, and now I'm married to my second husband, hopefully my last husband. But I used to, when I was back into the job force, I had been out of the job force for a while, just, being a mother to you guys. So I was coming back in, at age, I don't know, 27, 26, 27. And so for me, when I got back into the job force, I used to be so scared of being late for a job interview. If you're late for a job interview, that already tells them that they don't want to hire you.
Right.
So if it was a new place I did not know where it was, I purposely drive it too. Like, how long does it take me to get there? That's before GPSs were really reliable for me.
Right.
They're more reliable now. They actually give you the time. Back in my day when they first came out, it was just, here's how to get there. There was no, you're going to get there in how many minutes based on traffic. It was like, this is how much we think it's going to be time-wise for you to get there. Nowadays, it'll tell you the traffic at a certain time of day and all that kind of stuff. But I was worried about being late.
But see, you have to be careful though, because the GPS, and I say this with the most due respect, there was a point in time where I had a GPS, but it was a faulty GPS. Reason being, I had a friend of mine that lived maybe like a couple towns over. Technically, it's supposed to take only 20 minutes. Why was my GPS taking me all around New Jersey an hour later? My friend's like, are you still coming through? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, girl, it's been over an hour. But now I have a better GPS for my truck that's pretty much like, I can get there.
All GPSs did that in the beginning. I had a GPS to try to take me onto an off ramp, saying I'm supposed to go on it. And I had the two black gentlemen looking at me like, going, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sorry. Because I was just following it blindly. And I realized at that point, don't follow it blindly. I don't care if it says, go down in the street and make a right. You need to go down the street, make a right, and read to see if that's a one-way only. It's about to send you down.
Right. So now that I use like my Apple iPhone, like I actually look at the path it wants me to go to. And if it doesn't make sense, it gives me different options. So I do that now instead of just following it blind.
I think everybody does that because GPS was real glitchy. I think when they put that technology out to the masses, they said everything that's wrong with GPS, the American public and the world, everybody's going to help us figure it out and make it better. And that's what we did. We all made different turns and things wrong, incorrectly. We all complained to the provider saying the map was wrong. I almost got in an accident, and it made them, oh, okay, well, it'll never happen again. Thank you for letting us know. And then they go into their little software. Okay, that's not you got to fix that. That's not an entrance. That's actually an exit. That's what happened. I think they got better at the technology based on human use.
Yeah, I agree. So I say that all to say, for the people that are just getting their license, whether you're 16, 17, 20, 30, 40, however, when you use your GPS, actually look at the different options it's giving you, so you're not going all throughout your state to get to your location.
Yeah, and I would say make the map big so you can see how your state and see how the actual path goes from start to finish, so you can see, oh, it's basically a straight line. If it starts taking you, like you said, into another state to go over, you're like, that's not. Do the aerial view, not the bird's eye view, before you go out with your GPS. Make sure it's taking you in the shortest route possible and that it makes sense, for you.
Oh, and then one last thing too, also, because again, I'm not the best with street names, but I am good with landmarks. So if you are aware of your surroundings, if you know, okay, on this street, there's a McDonald's or whatever, what have you, and you're using your GPS, it'll actually help you get more familiar with your surroundings. You don't have to really rely so much on your GPS.
Well, I do know too, for some people, when it comes to street names and landmarks, I think a lot of people are more comfortable because landmarks you can see from further a distance than you can a little sign. So if you say, oh, it's going to be at the light by the McDonald's, it's called, Willow Lane or something, right? I know going down this highway, Willow Lane, it's going to be right at that corner, a light and a McDonald's. So I get what you're saying. A lot of people are like, they want directions that give more of a picture. That's why Google gave you the little guy you could pick up and put on the street and he looks around. I love that little guy.
I used to use that before job interviews when I was like, just make sure I was like early. I would go online, go to Google Maps, put the little guy in the location, look around, and I would take it backwards to figure out, okay, from my house to this location, I gotta go. It should look like this when I'm driving my car.
Yeah, and that's a good tip too. If you don't want to ask me what the landmarks, because you don't want to seem like you're afraid to drive. Take the little guy. Do it yourself. Take the little guy and put him on the street.
Yeah,
I mean that'll be the best way to do it if you don't want to give away, especially if you're a guy going for a date for girl. You don't call him and say, "What's the landmarks?" And she'd be like, "I gave you the address." You want to be like cool with it. You're like, "Okay, let me use my resources. I'm gonna get my GPS. I'm gonna take a little Google guy, drop him on the street, look around, so I kind of know." where I'm going to be turning and everything.
Right.
Guys been using those tricks for a long time. So girls and guys can get really good at driving in unknown locations if they can see what it looks like.
Right.
All right. Now, Pastor Quick went on to the 3 steps that we need to use to eliminate negative self-talk. He said, 1, commit to taking action for your own well-being. That means don't settle. If you're doing your internal work that God requires of you, then you don't have to believe that you're cheap, that you have to just put up with anything. It's like, see yourself as a diamond. I like that part of his sermon, didn't you, Resa? Like, see your worth, know your worth. Then he went on to number 2. He said, you must start using your power of choice and draw a boundary. So know your worth, but also know that you have a right to choose A or B, C or D, and draw your boundaries. Self-care is so essential, he said. It's not just something you're doing to be selfish. It's okay to close the door and say to your kids, I need 5 minutes, guys. You guys are driving me up a wall. It's okay to say, I'm not going to pick up the phone on Friday night because you know what? I really want to deep condition my hair, or I really want a massage, or I really just want to zone out and watch my football game without being disturbed, play a video game. You have all those rights to take care of yourself mentally, especially if you had a hard week or you have a hard job or it's just been a bad day. How do you feel about that, Resa?
No, I agree. Because when he was saying those things, like my first thought was, again, when I started, when I had reclaimed Jesus in my life and I was working on myself. And the first thing that came to mind, right, and I thought it was kind of funny at the time, I was like, I really love that when I have guests in my house, I'm sitting here trying to make sure everything's like top of the line, like, the house is like ultra super clean, like the food's top of the line, but then it's like for myself, I'm like, oh, it's okay if I eat like, I don't know, a frozen dinner. I'm like, why am I not like the same care that I would put for a guest? Why am I not putting that into myself?
You hosted the dinner and you're having the girls' night movie and you have the house is all clean, there's platters laid out of different food. There's, great music playing when they come in before the movie starts and everything. You take time.
Why am I not doing that for myself? I'm like, that's a problem. Like, you can't just only do that when you have friends. Like, you should be able to say, okay, listen, my house is like spick and span, super clean every week. I feed myself like top of the line food, not just like, listen, there's nothing wrong with frozen foods, but like you should be able to make yourself like a dinner that you would make for somebody else for yourself first.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so true. That's like on my china. Remember she said to you, it's like, we're eating off our china. I forget about that. We only bringing it out on special occasions. Whenever I feel like eating on the china, we're going to eat on the china. And that's how I feel about it.
Like I have nice placeware from Target. Love you guys. And I eat off of that, but I also am like, I need to put in the same effort that I would give to another person. I need to give that back to myself.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And I really appreciate it. That also goes right into number 3 that Pastor Quick was talking about. He said, embrace the 5-second rule. When something doesn't feel right, take 5 seconds and then just do it. Whether it's a new job, starting certain relationships. I don't know about the relationship part. Sometimes God gives you your spidey senses for a reason.
That's a give or take. Like if you are, what I like to joke around is like, if you see a red flag, like you just feel it all in your spirit, like something is not right. He's not saying to like disregard that. There's just certain things you just should not disregard. Like you don't disregard it like a red flag.
Oh, I know. He's my pastor. I know he wasn't saying that, but he did.
No, I know. Right.
He mentioned new relationships, and I think he's meaning more new connections with people. Like if you're in work and or at church or something like that, something that could probably propel you forward.
Right.
Don't be apprehensive about something that's going to make you try something new that is supposed to be good and edifying for you, either financially or spiritually or something like that. He wants you to do more than just put your toe in. Like he gave an example of swimming in a pool. Right. He wanted to swim, but he also hates being cold. And so he would go over to the edge of the pool and he kept testing the water instead of just getting in and swimming, Right. He said that the story of Jeremiah reveals 3 things. Divine instigation leads to elevation, which means God knew you before you were born and he can arrange and predestine your life. He said, number 2, divine revelation opposes negation, meaning limit any opinions about yourself that opposes God's will for your life, because you can do all things through Christ. Excellence is required every single day at First Baptist, and it should be something that you require in your own life, excellence. And thirdly, he said, divine obligation requires preparation. He said, Allen Iverson didn't like to practice, and he would have been such a different kind of player on another kind of level if he would have just had the work ethic. He told us not to be lazy. Instead, try to work a little harder. You want to make sure that you get better at what you do and develop a really strong work ethic. I think that's important. But in addition to that, I would say, but still take care of your self-care. Burnout is a real thing. The hustler mentality we had in the 80s and 90s worked great for those that love to hustle. But for those that were trying to keep up with those that were hustling, it burnt people out. It gave people anxiety. It made people question their worth. So I would say have balance. It's okay to have a great work ethic and work hard, but it's also great, like you said, to have your boundaries and take care of yourself too.
Yeah, and then also too, if you're working somewhere that you don't feel appreciated, then go somewhere else that'll appreciate you.
Definitely. But you think Allen Iverson is going to feel some kind of way if he ever comes across Pastor Quick's sermon?
Well,
I think he thinks he worked hard enough.
I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't have an Allen Iverson jersey. I wanted one, but whatever. But I thought he was, he was good, like at the time when he was on the 76ers. But again, how guys are with stats and everything else. So yeah. I feel like that's like one of those things. It's basically someone's opinion on someone's certain skill set. That's like a lot of people think. Or a lot of people have an opinion that Tom Brady is like, the best quarterback in the NFL. But then somebody else could say, oh, I think Donovan McNabb was the best quarterback when he used to play for the Phillies. So it's like, again, it's a give or take. I don't think Allen's going to be upset about it. It's just like, it's your opinion. Yeah,
that's his opinion about his work ethic. So right. Allen's mama, family, and Allen don't come looking for us because we didn't say it at the pulpit. Pastor Quick. If you want to write to Pastor Quick, you just go into his DMs and send him a message. He would enjoy being tagged on any message you have specifically for him, and you can tell him we sent you. Right. Okay. Pastor Quick's sermon, Stop Trippin', was live streamed on August the 14th, 2022, and you can find it on the FBC Somerset YouTube channel. When you get a moment, check it out. Now let's go on to the Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church. I hope I'm saying that right. This is a video that was posted on August the 7th, 2022. And it's a sermon that we enjoyed. And I don't know about you, Resa, but this pastor can sing. He was singing. Was he not singing when it came to the beginning? Before he started the word and after, he was definitely singing.
He was singing and he was cracking some jokes. So yeah, I will give him his props and his flowers.
Yeah. This is a sermon that comes from Chicago, Illinois, from Reverend Ernest F. Ledbetter III. The scriptures he is referring to would be Isaiah chapter 1, verses 16 through 19 of, I believe, the New King James Version. Judea was a church known for great worship and works, but they messed up. Like all of us, they messed up. So Pastor Letterman started by saying, not everyone has your back. He said, there are certain people that have your name that you may not be able to relate to, and that life can give you difficulties that can wear you down. He said, life be lifing. So what do you think about that intro, Resa, about how some people can actually own or be in your family, if your family name, but not just be, not really have your back, not really be supportive.
This is true. How many celebrities have we seen that unfortunately, their family members have sold them out for a tabloid because the tabloid said they were going to pay them X amount of dollars. Yeah. Sadly. So it happens all the time.
It happens all the time where, you think the loyalty will be there, that people would want what's best for you. But sometimes people are like, what's in it for them supersedes what it could be for their loved one. That happens. Reverend Ledbetter went on to give us some points. He said, listen to God's voice. And he said, the first thing we need to do when we want to listen to God's voice is we've got to come clean. We must get to the point where God can check you and give you instruction. So, which can be pretty hard because people like to pray and then just get up from their knees and walk away. It's the listening part he wants. Like you pray, but you actually tell him what the real deal, what's really going on with you in life is. And then you listen. He said, God told Judea not to bring festivals and offerings if they can't be real with him. He wants them to be able to be real when it comes to supplementation. He said, stop saying in the world as Christians, God knows my heart. I've heard that so much growing up. When people do wrong and stuff and you go, yeah, take it to the Lord. They go, oh, God knows my heart. So there's no need for him to pray about it because he's omniscient. I know he's omniscient. So if he knows everything, like they say, technically, I get it. They're saying if he knows everything, I don't have to say the words.
But you still have to do the work though. You can't just be like, oh, well, because that's like some people have like this notion of, well, seeing as though God knew me before I was born and he knows what I'm gonna do and he knows like how I'm gonna, go back to him. Why do I have to talk to him? I'm just like, but you still have to do the work.
You got to do the work and you have to invite God into the areas of your life you want to fix. Right. And that's what the pastor was saying. Pastor Ledbetter said, you don't be a functional sinner. Don't get to the point where you can't be honest with God. Secondly, he said, there must be a change in your behavior. He said, where you fall short. So it's really up to us to be honest and say what we're working on. He actually mentioned some groups too. And this is the one point where he said, ask God to help you bless someone's house. And he said, let's straighten it out. What he's calling his sermon actually comes from Lattimore. I got to look into who Lattimore is as a singer because he referred to him back in the day and he must be really darn good. He said people probably in generation, I'm Generation X. So I probably say the baby boomers probably know a lot more about Lattimore than I do. So I have to look into that a little bit and see what he's all about. But it comes from his song. The title of the sermon comes from his song. Then he said, number 3, we have to converse with the Creator, have a real conversation. Stop avoiding your time to reason with God. Just like a child reasons with their parents, like you might ask for the car keys. I really want the car keys. Your mom goes, no, you can't have it. You don't have your license yet. But I don't understand. I'm trying to learn. I kind of just had the car keys and can't you go out with me? And I can take us both to the store. I don't need anything from the store. Yeah, you do, Mom. We're out of eggs. I can take us to the store. And a kid will reason to get their way. And eventually the mom or the dad was like, okay, fine. Pastor was saying the same thing should go for our Creator, with God. Don't just pray, put it out there and just get up on your knees and go on about your business. Pray, but also reason with him. Talk to him sincerely for what you need. I really need to get my degree in, let's say it's communications or career like biology. I really need to get my biological science degree. Right. A student could be thinking that, right? And then they say it in the prayer in passing. I came to school. I really want to get that degree. Lord, please help me get my degree. But if you reason with God, that prayer is going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be like, I worked so hard, Lord. I took every science class to get here. They accepted me on a partial scholarship, but it doesn't pay for everything. I can't be here for 5 years, Lord. You got to help me. Every night, my roommate keeps playing music instead of wearing headsets, so I'm having a hard time studying. I can't study in the library. You have to help me get my degree. See how it feels different when you're really reasoning? You almost feel like, he said it too, you almost feel like you're in a court of law and God is the judge and you're kind of pleading your case for what you need. And he actually wants us to talk to him like that. Be sincere in your wanting and what you're asking for of him. Call on his name, like with fervency, call on him to help you because he's there. Then he said, we need to reason with the Lord for what we need and be ready to hear what he needs from us in return. So you can do all that pleading. And he said we have to have a Jodeci anointing. I love that, which is basically, that song, Can I Talk to You? He's feeling that. That's the Jodeci anointing. Like you really want to talk.
Yeah, like it's true. Because I just had a similar situation. You already know this, where I was sitting here begging and pleading for God. God goes, okay, so let's see. So then he gave me a test and I failed that test. And then he's like, see, you said you wanted X, Y, and Z. I gave you a test to see if you were, if you would actually be ready for it. And I wasn't ready. And I couldn't be mad at it because I was like, it's right there in my face. So I was just like, okay, I got to work on that. But when I am like well prepared for it, we will, go back to this conversation and we'll try it again.
And it's a funny thing you say that because I know before when we were doing the Daniel's fast, I think we were on week 3 somewhere. We only had like maybe 7 days left of the fast, right? And I remember saying to God, I'm ready. I got this. I think I know what you are going to ask of me. I think I'm ready. I'm a vessel. I think I'm ready for whatever it is. I felt at that point, I had eating nothing but fruits and berries and grains, no sugar, no meat. I was like, I'm ready. I'm a vessel. I'm ready for whatever your will is. And I was writing my memoir at the time. So I'm thinking he's going to say, keep concentrating on that. So I said to him, I'm ready, Lord. And his answer back was, get ready. And I said, but I'm ready, Lord. And he was like, get ready. That was his answer back. Get ready. Had no idea we were doing a podcast.
Right.
And the amount of work it would take to put on this podcast. I had no idea that it would be this kind of a reach. I thought it was like, I'm writing a little book. It might help other people. Had no idea I would tell parts of my life that I've told so far. So he was right. When you say I'm ready and you're really trying to do something for the Lord,
right.
It's like, Pastor Quickness said, and it's like how Reverend Ledbetter is saying, you have to get ready. You got to stay in conversation with him, get rid of the negative voices and just keep moving forward. I think this week was 2 really good talks that really blended together. What do you think, Resa?
I agree. They definitely blended into each other, and they definitely gave confirmation for those that were questioning like why certain things were happening, and I also gave reminders for people of what they still need to do in order to move forward.
And it goes with the song, Anything But Fail. Exactly. It goes with the song that the group Fire put out there. So I'm like, this is all tying in. God is good. It's all tying in. If you want to view Reverend Ernest F. Ledbetter III's August 7th sermon, Let's Straighten It Out, please go to the Mount Pisgah Chicago YouTube page. All right. Now let's move on to the screening room. Okay. This week, I am doing a film that was featured on Lifetime, and it really moved me, Resa too. And it goes into the I Press My Gift theme of First Baptist. I picked the Clark Sisters, First Ladies of Gospel. It came out in 2020. It was written by Sylvia L. Jones and Camille Tucker. It was directed by Christine Swanson. It stars Joanne Ellis, Christina Bell, Kira Sheard Kelly, Shalia Frazier, Raven Goodwin, Angela Burchett, Michael Xavier, and others. Before I give a brief synopsis on this film, it should be known that the executive producers and Grammy Award winners that made this film come to pass were Queen Latifah, Jersey's own, Mary J. Blige, and Missy Elliott. It premiered on Lifetime. This film is the authorized musical of the incomparable gospel singers, the Clark Sisters, and it recounts their story as the highest selling female gospel group in history and their trailblazing choir director mother, Dr. Maddie Moss Clark. Credited with bringing gospel music into the mainstream, the 5 Clark sisters, who are Twinkle, Karen, Dorinda, Denise, and Jackie, overcame humble beginnings in Detroit, Michigan, and endured so much to achieve international fame as icons in the gospel music industry. Now, there's one part in the film that I particularly like, and it's in the trailer too, where one of the Clark sisters says, wouldn't it be easy if we all sang the same note when their mother's teaching them harmonies? Their mother, Maddie, stopped her daughter and said, did you just curse in my house? We don't do easy in this house. We do excellent. See, easy was a curse word that she considered it a curse word because she didn't tolerate anything easy. Her husband at the time accused her of wanting to be Joe Jackson and her kids being like the next Jackson 5, right? And she said, it's not that. These girls will be better than the Jacksons because they sing for the glory of God. And I love that part when she made it very clear. She wasn't being, tough on their work ethic and tough on their talent because she was trying to be like Joe and be famous for the world. She wanted her daughters' words, the lyrics, their vocals to be touched by those that are trying to find Christ and trying to get their lives turned over to God. And that meant so much to me. It won some great awards. It won Best Television Movie for the 2020 AAFCA TV Honors. It won Outstanding Music for the 2020 Black Reel Awards for Television. The Best Made for Television Movie in 2021 Gracie Allen Awards, and Best Motion Picture Made for Television in the 2021 Satellite Awards. The themes of the movie are talent, power of prayer, family struggles, demonstration of faith, gifts, sisterhood, betrayal, sibling rivalry, God's grace, mother's love, hard work, and excellence. Now, you can watch this film usually on Lifetime Movie Club. They still have it up, YouTube TV, and Amazon Prime Video. Resa, what did you think about this movie when you saw it? I know I totally adored it.
I know when it was announced the film was coming out, everyone on my Twitter timeline was excited because we all said we're going to watch it as a family, and we did. So it was really nice to learn to learn more about the Clark sisters and their upbringing and their mother, and to learn like the trials and tribulations that they went through in order to, you know, to be a successful gospel singing group. Because they went through a lot, but they definitely paved the way because a lot of singers, singers, like the harmonies that they did in that group have been used in other gospel songs and R&B songs. Like they are iconic. They are a very iconic group, and a lot of singers from Mariah, Carey, Whitney Houston, Jennifer Hudson, like a lot of them have credited the Clark sisters for helping them tighten their harmonies.
Oh, great. I know that if you want to see the trailer to the movie, the Clark sisters, First Ladies of Gospel, just go to the www.withquickness.com and you'll see the trailer there. I do know you're so right. There's so many young singers that have been influenced by the Clark sisters. And right now they're in the press right now because of something that's been going on with Beyonce's latest album, right? I know you just picked up yes. Your box came. Yes. You had box number what? From
box
her?
Number 4.
Yes, box number 4. What was in it?
So what was in it was a t-shirt and a CD. The song that you are referring to is a song titled Church Girl by Beyonce from her Renaissance album, Act 1. And a pastor who shall remain nameless was saying that like the song was, I guess, inappropriate, but it's a Beyonce song.
Okay. I'm gonna say the pastor's name. Pastor Wooden of Church of God in Christ came out and said, you know, that is a song that should not be listened to by young women in the church. That it was actually, you know, something that, you know, he didn't really consider it a good song at all. So I read the lyrics. I mean, first of all, if a pastor tells you that the lyrics are already racy, I already know not to listen to it right away. Let me go read the lyrics first. So I listened to the lyrics. I read the lyrics first. And I said, "Ooh, he's right. These are a little dicey lyrics." And then I did listen to it. If my bishop can listen, one of the bishops can listen to it, I can listen to it, you know. So I listened to it, and because I know what stage Beyonce is in her life right now as a mother, and then I listened to the song again, and I had to be very clear. I listened to it twice, and after reading the lyrics and listening to it twice, it was very much an artistic expression that if you're not aware of the nuances of what she's doing, you would think that it's something that no one should listen to, yada, yada. It's actually a cautionary tale. And I'd say that from a person that is artistic and also comes from the English background. If you look at it for what it is and you know where she is in her life right now she's a mother and she's a wife. But she's singing this based on being a single young woman, right? Single young women that had heartbreaks. Her friends around her have had heartbreaks. She's a church girl. She calls herself a church girl in the song, but she believes it's Saturday night. It's time to have fun in the club, right? So she believes going in the club, you know, dancing all suggestively, not thinking about church or anything. We'll think about church in the morning. We have to go to church, right? Then you're a church girl that's out here having fun, being free. If you really listen to the lyrics or read the lyrics, you will realize she's talking about those lukewarm church girls in the church that profess to be, you know, I'm a certain way at church, but then they're a certain way, you know, in the street and with their peers. And there's this dichotomy that's going on. Like you're having two lives represented. You're being one way with your friends and another way with the pastor and people in your family. And you're struggling basically with those two sides, but you're choosing to have a double life. You're choosing to be two ways. And if you're going to be considering yourself a church girl, and you know what the word church girl means, what it's supposed to mean, And you know how the church looks at that term. When you say, oh, so-and-so's a nice church girl, and you say it in church, it means a certain thing. And there's another thing by saying church girl in the world. And then if you are looking at that definition as being something that can be, you can be both. You can be in the world and you can be in the church. That's what a church girl is. Or when people say church girls are loose or church girls, you know, they're dropping it out here like it's hot, just like the secular girls. If you honestly believe the definition of the church girl is someone that is actually toggling between two realms, the spiritual life and their carnal, life outside, then okay, you're one of those people that believe that. Good for you. Then there's other people that, we had 4 babies or 5 babies blessed in church today. There's other, and they've grown up in the church and they've really dedicated their life to the church. They might even be in ministries. They might even want to see themselves as a pastor. I just talked about Reverend Dr. Jacqueline Thompson. She's, a great leader in the Baptist faith. So she considers herself a church girl. I consider myself a church girl. There's a lot of definitions going on here. And Beyonce's song is making it perfectly clear. Her song is the anthem for the girls that are living the double life, that are going to the club on Saturday. And they had their heart broken, but they're going to be free in the club and do what they want and then still go to church. Yes, there are young women like that. They exist. And they come to the church every Sunday morning. They are right there too, with the ones that have never stepped a foot in the club, with the ones that have never cursed, with the ones that have never gotten tattoos or tattooed some guy's name on their thigh or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. All she's doing is showing a light on it. Right now, Beyonce's a mother of children and married. She's not in the clubs on Friday nights singing about being free after a heartache. She has no heartache right now. She's married, she's happy. But she knows there are girls out there that feel repressed by their religion, right? That feel like they want to be with their friends, partying and dropping in like it's hot and et cetera, so forth. And yet they're still in the church. They need to make up in their mind who they really are, because there's many young people out here that says, oh, so-and-so's a church girl. And they go, oh, no, not really. I just saw her in the club. Oh, not really. I just saw her smoke a blunt and drink a 40. Oh no, she's a church girl, but not really, because when she leaves the house, she changes her clothes in the bathroom at school and she wears something totally different around school all day. Mm-hmm. There are lukewarm young women out there. So Beyonce's mom probably made a lot of people in the Christian community mad. People were probably saying the Clark sister should be upset that she used her song. And, I get where Bishop Wooden is going. But all I'm saying is, let's give Beyonce the artistic credit she's trying to put out there. One, she didn't write the song for the girls in the church that are really in the church. Let's be perfectly clear. The ones that are, grown up and they're doing everything right and they have their life totally dedicated to God, she didn't write the song for them. She wrote the song for the ones that are pretending at church, the ones that are living the double life, that are partying in the club and out with their friends, getting rid of their heartache that way. And every young woman has probably thought about doing things secularly, getting rid of, if you have a heartbreak, rather than going to your pastor or your church leader, you're going to go to your girlfriends. She's going to say, let's go have a drink. That happens. All of us have had times where we're in between both worlds. She's just saying, this is an anthem for the ones that are happy where they are between the two. They want to be with their friends and dancing the latest dance and the guys looking at them, as they're dressed suggestively, but they also want to still be in the church. They haven't made up their mind really where they're at yet. They're figuring it out. And while they're figuring it out, Beyonce said, here's the perfect anthem for you, Mm-hmm. And will she make money on it? Yes. It's already number 22 on the Billboard charts. I'm sure it's going to keep going up because the more people are talking about it. But she's not trying to lead people down a path of fire and brimstone. This is artistic work. This is the month of I press my gifts, right? Yes, she cursed. Yes, she's talking very lewdly, the way they would do in that environment. She's speaking the language of that place, of those clubs, of the people that like to live in that manner. She's reaching them where they're at. And some of them are going to see it as Beyonce's giving a gold star to their behavior. Like, yeah, you're doing the right thing. That's not what she's doing. At least that's not how I interpreted it. I interpret it as this is going on. It's almost like when someone does a 48 hours documentary recently and they go into the bowels of New York City and show the drug trade. Right. They're not endorsing the drug trade. They're showing the drug trade. She's doing the same thing. She's saying lukewarm church girls are here in the club. And we all know they're going to be up in church singing in the choir or sitting in the pews or, in Sunday school with the rest of us on Sunday morning. Or with the saints on Sunday morning. Because some people is like, I'm in the club, but I ain't going to church. I know I ain't trying to have lightning strike me down walking through,
Right. I feel like we need to redefine, because the way that I took the song was that, yes, it is about the song is about a woman that is toggling between what the definition of a church girl is and someone that's in the secular life. But I feel like we need to redefine.
I don't think she's toggling between the two. I don't think that's what Beyonce's saying. Beyonce's saying young women are looking to free themselves from heartache and have fun and feel like that's a part of themselves. Being in the club is a part of themselves, just like being in the church is part of themselves. And she's saying that young woman is saying it's okay to be in both worlds. And that's a definition of one type of church girl. It's the lukewarm. God said, do not be lukewarm. That's the lukewarm church girl. She's choosing to be between the two. And then you have other women that are defining themselves as church girls in the church, and they're not toggling. They're totally 100% centered on God and doing everything God's way.
But how do we know if the person that that goes to the club is technically a quote unquote lukewarm church girl?
You don't. That's why her song is so brilliant. She's talking to the ones that know that they are in between the two. They know they're going to the club tonight, and then they're going to sneak into that window and go into bed and get dressed up in the morning and sit down for family breakfast before church like nothing ever happened. She's talking to that one that knows they are in between satisfying their friends or trying to look okay with the world, but yet also being represented at church. And we've all been there. If you grew up in a church in any sense as a young person, everyone knows how you want to try to get in and get along when you're in high school and in middle school and not be labeled the goody goody. You want to just be seen as just you. So some people take it a bit far. It's more than just people thinking they can talk about anything around you, but it's also they can smoke around you. It's also that you can do a blunt with them. It's also that you could, have sex with them outside of marriage. It's also, some people keep pushing the envelope that way and they're okay. They're okay. They're saying to themselves, I'm free. I'm doing my body what I want to do with my body because I'm free. And they're entitled. That's their free agency. They're entitled to do that. Beyonce is not endorsing it. That's the one thing I people don't get. When I got it was she's saying this happens. She's saying, she's singing from the viewpoint of a young woman that's in the club. If you listen to all the lyrics, she's talking about being in the club and doing those things. We all know today Beyonce is not in the club. She's home with her children and her husband. She's not single, singing about heartbreak and trying to dance it away. But she is singing about a time when maybe she was in between, or women that are in between the two. And that's how they were existing. God still loved them. They were still welcome. She didn't say they weren't welcome in the church on Sunday morning, but they were in between two different worlds, and it still exists right now. It didn't go away just because the music's changed and the imagery might be a little more raunchy. It's still there. There's still people that are, wanting to be accepted by both. I want to be accepted by the world, and I also want to be accepted by people in church.
I guess I'm just confused because I just honestly.
How did you take the song?
I honestly took the song as a redefinition of what a church girl is. It's not because for whatever reason, a lot of churches for a long time wanted to put this image of, oh, you can't consider yourself a church member if you're doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm just that's not always the case, because there's people like DMX. And he was rapping what he was rapping about, but that man was super religious. Everywhere he went, he was talking about God and praying for people and everything else. But how does that make him less of a Christian because he doesn't fit the stereotype?
Now, you said you think she's talking about redefining what a Christian girl is. So that means you think she's saying a Christian girl is what definition then?
So to me, the way that I took the song was, you can still be a church girl and go to church on Sundays and have a relationship with God, but you might go to the club and dance about heartbreaking. You might, be living, or you might be in a secular world, but it doesn't make you any less of a church girl because you're doing these things.
Well, if she was just talking about dancing, I could see what you're saying. But when you read the lyrics, she's not just talking about dancing, going and dancing with girlfriends and blowing off steam. That would have been a different kind of song. This is basically, you are definitely being suggestive. You are definitely, wanting a guy to have sex with you. You're definitely pushing the envelope and doing a lot of things on Saturday and Friday night before you go into church. She said the next night. So this talking about Saturday night. She's talking about Saturday night. And I can see Bishop Wooden why he was so upset. Because if you look at it as she's defining all church girls, it'll make any religious leader get upset, because she's not defining all church girls. Yeah, she's saying there's a type of church girl, right? That is their life. I do believe we are on the same page on that point. She's saying there's a type of church girl that exists that parties with her friends, blow off steam, wants to be free in her body, doesn't want to be judged or looked as being repressed. And that same person wants to go to church on Sunday morning.
Right. That's how I'm taking it.
Yes, and I think we're in agreement. That is one definition that she's giving. What she's not doing is redefining the term church girl. She's giving one aspect of a church girl. Right. Because just like a person can say, I'm a lady, and they behave a certain way. And you go, oh. And another woman says, I'm a lady, but she's cursing somebody out in the parking lot. Both of them are ladies. They are just talking about two different definitions.
Right.
That's all she is talking about another definition. That's how I looked at it.
Right. So then I think where I'm kind of concerned and confused about, it's okay, why is a pastor making this song into a negative connotation when, like you said before, she's just artistically expressing one type. Well, not one type, but I don't know how to say it, because obviously there's not just one type of church girl. There's different types.
She's talking about a particular type.
Yeah. So she's talking about a particular type of church girl. So seeing as though, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought pastors and bishops were trying to get everyone into the church so they can right.
He is. You're absolutely right. He is. So his biggest concern is because he was looking at her song through the filter of she labeled all church girls.
Oh, I didn't think like that.
No, he looked at it. When you listen to what he's saying basically that, she took a song that was done by a Clark sister. I think it's by the Clark sisters, actually.
Yeah.
And she sped it up and she used it in a song that was not elevating God. And seeing that those voices that we just talked about in the screening room with the movie that we selected for this week, seeing that those voices are so anointed. And the whole mission of the Clark sisters being formed by Sister Maddie was about them elevating God. It was a bit of a slap in the face, because he wasn't under the impression that, one, such anointed music should be used for that kind of a song. Two, the fact that she took the term church girls and gave the world on her platform, gave a world a way of looking at church girls differently from how the church is trying so desperately for our young women to see themselves. And thirdly, it's there's so many people in the church that elevate her and think the world of her, that they don't see the harm this can cause for young girls running around singing this song. They're not really seeing, they're thinking it's cool, the things that she's saying because of the times we're in, and rather than seeing that words have power. Just like we talked about negative words, how they can do over in your head, make you think a certain thing about yourself. Well, also song lyrics. You run some song lyrics through your head enough, you think, well, what's the wrong? Why can't I go and party in the club and have wine and stuff with my girlfriends? And why can't I wear this around young men and, and dance my pain away in the club with my friends? Why can't I do that? You can do that. You can dance and have fun with your friends, but do we expect you also to be, promiscuous or, also become, a drug addict or an alcoholic and have a really hard lifestyle of partying? No, we don't expect that. I mean, you're still accepted. God accepts all of us, flaws and all. He accepts all of us. Right. But we also don't want young women growing up that idolize. He felt like women idolize and they actually look at her a certain way and will, rally to her defense because she is Beyonce, and will not do that same thing for the word of God. God has said we need to all behave a certain way. There is a Proverbs 31 woman that God said would be the woman that, the world should be elevating. Not the ones in the club, but the ones that is, a light to herself, her community, to her husband, to her children. Mm-hmm. That woman is not being as elevated. So I think for him, he was on the pulpit as a bishop, talking to his flock, talking to people that are under his guidance, his leadership, as God has put upon his heart to say to his constituents that it's not a song that he wants them to really get into and support for the young women in his church alone, if not for the young women in the community. Now, he on his platform is being very, very vocal about it, because Church of God in Christ is a very big church, and he's a bishop of notoriety, and a lot of people hear his word and want to hear his word. So he said, if she can be just as vocal, I'm going to be just as vocal. And it threw some people off, because people were like expecting the church not to say anything. Because all kinds of church terms have been used in ways that were not correct in secular music,
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I was just like, I've heard other people use different church, whether it was samples, whatever, and I haven't heard anybody else sit there and get the same type of criticism that she's getting. And then I feel like too, that also goes back, because I feel like this is like a bigger conversation, like not only with just Beyonce, but like when certain people like to say, oh, well, don't support this and don't support that. I'm like, well, where's the parents? Because the parents are like, Beyonce's not raising their like these kids. She has her own kids to raise. So where are the parents? Because, great example, obviously, like, even though I still do watch it, the VMAs, like there was a point in time, I will never forget it. There was a certain artist, Britney Spears, when she came out, and she had it had to be like probably the early 2000s, and she did a performance where she did like a striptease, and she went from wearing like a black pantsuit to like basically like a nude, like it was like a nude bodysuit. Right, yeah, right. And obviously you were there watching it with us, but you also said too, this is entertainment. We do not walk outside and take off our clothes. She can do that because she's Britney Spears, but you will not be doing that outside the house.
Well, yeah.
Or period.
Parental advisement is very important when raising young people. That's true. You can't be lazy when it comes to the things they're getting inundated with, whether it's things you're sitting there and watching with them, like we watched the award ceremonies together when you were growing up, or it's something that they come in the house and tell you about, or that you witness or you discover on their smartphones. Whatever it is, you have to be a parent first and foremost. And it's a hard job because you feel like part camp counselor, part, drill sergeant. You're just like, you're their best friend. Sometimes you're their worst enemy, It's not an easy job, and it's not for the faint of heart. But also to expect Beyonce to have the same, to be giving messages that you would hear, like you do contemporary gospel songs on our show.
Right.
I don't expect to see Beyonce, having the same platform as one of the Clark sisters.
Right.
I really don't. Now, she can do a gospel song here and there. I know that. But she can even put out a whole gospel album next year for all I know. Mm-hmm. But it's not for me to say that, she is a gospel singer, secular singer. She's winning people for Christ or trying to pull away souls to Satan. I can't say any of that. What I can say is she's an artist. She's a creative. First and foremost, she's a creative. Right. And if you don't come to her works that she does, if you choose to pick them up, and if you choose to listen to her, I knew when I listened to Pastor Wooden, and I said, if I choose to read her lyrics or listen to this, I have to be open to the creative process. And if you are a creator, and I am, I know that everybody's work, they put a certain amount of energy into before they present it to the world. Right. And Beyonce, she's like any other artist. She thought of something she wanted to do, and she decided to put it out there. Then I also have to see in what way is she, since she's a singer, which way is she doing this? Is she doing this as a narrative where she's actually presenting someone else's story? Is she doing this as herself being in the position of the commentary that's going on? Like, if she is singing from first person, is she singing from third person? How am I supposed to look at this? Because that tells you a lot. Mm-hmm. If she's singing it from first person, and in real life, she's not that age where she's in the club singing about heartache anymore. Then this is something that's either in her past or in the present of other young women where she's putting herself in that position. Right. And once I look at it that way artistically, I know, okay, she's giving a message and an anthem to the girls that are in this position.
Right.
She wants them to dance and party and be free, because that's the mindset of that young woman at that time in her life. Now, this young woman that's going between church and the club, eventually something's going to hit her and she's going to have an epiphany either in the club or in the church.
Right.
And she's going to make a decision if she wants to keep that dual life going, or if she's going to be totally a daughter, of her God and her Christ, her Lord and Savior, and leave the club stuff alone because that season has passed in her life. Or if she's going to say, I can't be between the two and I feel more comfortable in this life than I do in that one.
Right.
We all have to make those decisions for ourselves. And I think Beyonce is shining a light that there are young women that are right in the middle, in the gap. And we as church people can do one or two things. We can demonize them and push them further into that. Or we can say, we know you party all night and it's okay. Come sit right here next to me. You're going to enjoy this word that Pastor Quick is going to give us, and let them feel welcome and let them feel okay. We have a duty as a church to say, we know you exist in between the two. Right. And there's a lot of people that, yes, church girls are in between the club and it being in church, but there's other people in between alcoholism and being, sober. And there's other people in a position of, I want to kill my parents or do something bad to people, but I also want to take my medicine and not feel that way and not think that way. There's a lot of us having two different things wrestling with us. Wasn't Brandy? She sang about being bipolar, but she's not bipolar.
This is true.
Artists do stuff all the time just to show a light on it. Like I said, like a 48 hours documentary. She's showing a light that we do have church girls and boys that are in between. Right. Being, stout and faithful in their faith and showing that part of themselves and how much they love the Lord and want to do this. And the ones that are in the club, or they're in the club and that's the life they really want. And they're pretending at church because it's better for other people to think they're in their faith. Right. She has pastors in her family, I believe. I believe she's a real church girl. So she knows what it's like to be, being a pastor's kid. A PK is the hardest thing because you're inundated with church stuff since you were born, but yet you're trying to find who you are.
Right. I just got annoyed, just to express myself and explain. I just got annoyed because when anyone has a flock of people that they are, preaching to, and they say, oh, don't support such and such. Like, I felt like it was judging because I'm like, what about those people that are literally in between those two worlds? Whether it's it's an alcoholic trying to get sober, whether it's a certain type of a church girl that's toggling between the two worlds. So are you saying that they're not going to be accepted in your place of worship? If that's the case, that's not cool either, because I thought in 2022, we are trying to tell everyone, hey, regardless of where you are in life, if you are trying to have a relationship with God, we want to be a part of that walk. But to put out messages like that, I felt like was a little like irresponsible in a sense.
I can understand why you feel that way. I really honestly do. But I want you to, if you get an opportunity, to listen to Bishop Wooden again, but not from the viewpoint of him putting down someone that you love her music and you think she's a great artist. Put that aside. And this time when you listen to him as a father over a flock of young women. And he's concerned about them seeing a certain lifestyle looking more appealing than being a daughter of Christ. Look at it as a man that has been charged to lead the saints that are under the sound of his voice in a certain direction. And he's worried about them coming off the trail because they think it's cool and they think it's hip and they're singing this song or singing songs like it and thinking that it's okay to be in between both worlds like that. He saw it more like an anthem for all church girls because it's called Church Girls. He wasn't looking at it the way I'm looking at it. Right. I had to do a little bit of a deep dive analysis to it and say, let's really look at the artist. Let's look at what she's saying, what she's presenting, and why she's presenting it. And can it be seen from more than one lens? The best songs and the best poems, you can read more than one way.
Right.
When you first read it, you can say this, oh, this is a young girl that's saying church girls, this is what they do. That's surface. That's surface level of a poem, of a song. If you take it deeper and actually look into it, you can say, oh, okay. Because she had a choice. She could have sang this from the viewpoint of being a third person, talking about she's a church girl, she did this and she goes party. She could have done third person through the whole thing and it had a totally different connotation. She purposely chose first person. One, we don't know if it's because something in her past where she was in between the two, or she wanted to identify more with the young women that are her fans that are purposely in between the two stages.
Right.
And I think it's absolutely brilliant because one, it gets everybody talking.
Right. That's what I said.
Two, it makes mothers and pastors and fathers say, okay, is my daughter struggling and in between both of these, trying to please her friends and what's cool and what makes her feel like she's accepted by them, but at the same time, trying to be okay with what we expect and what's needed from her in church.
True.
And does she feel repressed by that being between two? Has she had heartbreak? The heartbreak Beyonce talks about could be heartbreak from romantically, or it could be heartbreak, could be church hurt. If you, it depends, and people have had church hurt where they're like, I'm tired of the church people and I'm doing this now.
Right.
So if you really look at her song, and Beyonce, I could be completely off. You know, to anyone that's a Beyonce fan, Beehive, don't come at me. I could be off in what she represents and what she's saying, but that's how I read it as I read the lyrics and as I went into the deep dive that I was doing as a person that looks at words and the connotations of words and the imagery and all of that as a fellow creative. That's what I was picking up on it. It was a commentary on young women that are in that part in their life. And it could be seen as an anthem to those that are in that part and that's where they want to be. They could sing it and be like, yep, I'm that kind of church girl. And there could be other young church girls that are going, no, I hate that song because that's not who I am. And that's fine. That's okay too. I think that's okay too. That's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah, because to be honest, it was like when I heard the whole body of words, I was not sitting here again because I like art, but like when someone just takes like a song and all of a sudden they're making something that to me, when I heard it, it was like, okay, it was an innocent song, and now all of a sudden it's like this bigger thing, and I'm just like, you're taking something. And again, I will go and I will listen to his sermon so I can, understand what he was trying to say. But when I first read the headline and I read what he said, I was just like, this is not like, why? I don't know why, like for certain artists, their work is always like criticized, or it's always like this notion of, oh, they're trying to push like devil music or whatever. But then there's other artists that are doing far worse, and people always want to like give them the benefit of the doubt and praise them and never want to talk about what they're doing wrong.
Oh, well, let's be perfectly clear. There's a spectrum to sin. So whether you're doing a little or a lot, it's all sin.
Right.
But as far as the artistry, he has every right to say, I don't like how she presented that information. She could present that information another way. He could say that, and I don't have any problem with that.
Right.
But that is the form that she wanted to do. I have no idea what her video is going to look like. It probably shocked the world too. I have no idea. But I do know she is saying this exists.
Right.
This kind of, young woman is out here, and there's many of them. Enough that I have an anthem song for them. And if the church doesn't take it as a clarion call that we need to start doing something to bring these girls back into their faith and feeling comfortable where they don't have to do both, but when they have heartache, when they've had church hurt, when they've had relationship hurt, they don't have to dance it away in a club or get a tattoo from a guy with his name on them. They don't have to do certain things like that. If you don't see it as she's just shining a light and you want to look at it as she's labeling all church girls and want to be mad, you can do that. But God has on my spirit when I was listening to it that this is a cautionary tale. She's showing what's going on out here. And it's something that we both sides need to look at. The young woman needs to look at herself and why she feels like she has to have a double life and can't be honest about what she's going through. Be honest, like we heard one of the pastors say, be honest with God and reason with him, right?
Right.
About what you need and what you want. If you don't like being between these two worlds, put it on the altar. Have God help you figure it out. And if you're in the church and you've given church hurt to a young lady, you said the wrong thing about her skirt or how she looks and don't even know her name, like Pastor Quick would say.
Right.
And it made her get more into her secular life than she is in the church life.
This is true.
Then we need to check ourselves and say, well, we might have caused some of this to be to the point where Beyonce has an anthem out. So, she's saying, hey, this exists. We can't act like it doesn't. Just saying it's not there doesn't mean it's not there. Just acting like the young lady wasn't in the club last night, but now she's singing in the choir doesn't mean that's not what we all know is taking place. That is what has gone on. We see Miss Tina over there singing. She also was in the club last night. I remember.
Right.
And why? Because I was there too as a young woman. You know what I'm saying? There's a subculture in every community.
Right.
Beyonce singing to the young men and young women that are living that dual life. We can demify her and look at her a certain way, or we can say, thanks for shining the light on it. We didn't appreciate how the song was used because we look at our, Clark Sisters songs a certain way, but we get it. Glad you even knew they exist. Glad you understand. But we're going to take the church girl moniker back and say that the church girl that we are trying to, support and defend is a church girl, capital C. I don't know. It's a different kind of church girl that we are uplifting over here. And those that are a church girl that has a double life and kind of lukewarm in their religion and in their faith and in their faith walk, lukewarm in their faith walk, then we're going to pray for them. We're going to be welcoming when we see them, and we're going to help them any way we can.
See, that's all I was saying. Cause I was just like, why do we always have to demonize Beyonce? Love her. Listen, I'm not saying she's perfect. Like she's human like everybody else, but I don't like when people try to demonize her. I'm just like, there's some times where she's just shedding a light on things, and we can either look at it and do, what you just said to say, you know what, let's try to do better, because obviously like we really didn't have an idea, but now we have a song about it. So let's try to do our best to be accepting and help them. Or we can do like, what you also said, and then just demonize the person that's talking about it instead of like trying to fix the problem.
Yeah, because there's actors that take on many roles and actresses, right? And I never once after finish watching that movie or TV show say, oh my gosh, Angela Bassett, she just lives a terrible life. She goes from being like Tina Turner to being like, she's like, I don't know, was she coming or going? Now she's a cop and she can't even keep herself in a marriage. And she's not a character she's playing.
Right.
Singers do it all the time too. They play characters in their songs. They talk about life, and they talk about the life and they put themselves in the position of that person, and they sing from that reference. Because right now, believe me, Beyonce ain't getting dressed up and going in the club with her girlfriends and trying to entice men to want to be with her. She's not doing that right now in her life. She's actually reading bedtime stories to her kids. She's actually cooking dinner. She's actually enjoying her husband, and and probably has her face no makeup on, just enjoying her Sunday,
Right.
And probably got a word in this morning herself. Right. So I think, I'm not giving her a pass and saying that, everything she said is I'm totally behind, but I do know what she's talking about is she's talking about that type of woman and that kind of stuff going on. And it does exist. Now, people can be mad that she's using her platform in this way. I get that. They can be like, I expected more from Beyonce. I get that. Okay. Just like I expect Mariah Carey to do a Christmas album for me, a gospel album for me. Just like I expect that. Right. And I do hope she wins the she's on a legal thing right now, right? For copyright.
Ooh. Oh yeah. For the Christmas song.
The Queen of Christmas.
She'll win that.
Can we not go ahead and acknowledge the truth that the rest of the world knows she is the real Queen of Christmas and she needs to have that trademark?
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. I listen to the other lady stuff and they're okay. I mean, they're good. They're okay. But when I think of Christmas, of all the fairy dust and wonder and the magic of it, I think of Miss Mariah Carey. Exactly. And I always will. I just always will. It just,
Facts.
She has been deemed the queen, but not by herself. That's the thing. We talked about this before. It's one thing to label yourself the queen or the king of whatever and want that moniker. Great, good for you for wanting it. It's another thing for the masses to say, no, you get it. Like Muhammad Ali, you are the greatest of all time.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like she was never running around saying, oh, I'm the Queen of Christmas. Like her fans, aka the Lambs, called her the Queen of Christmas. Because,
and then it went beyond the Lambs.
Yeah.
Then it went beyond the Lambs. And it became like a thing.
Yeah.
People that aren't even Lambs call her the Queen of Christmas. Why? Because every November, we know Mariah's are coming. And it's going to be electric.
There are people as of mid-July that were already doing countdowns for December saying, I can't wait for her to do something again for Christmas. And I'm just like, God, it's July. Can
now,
we
what did you
enjoy
think
this
about
summer?
when the young lady said they can both coexist? They can both be queens of Christmas.
I don't even know her. I don't know her. I know Mariah Carey, and she's the queen of Christmas. I don't know the other person. I don't know her.
I just know when I think of Christmas songs and I think about being an ambassador, because Queen of Christmas, King of Christmas, that means you're an ambassador, telling as many people as possible, far and wide. Like Santa Claus turned to you and said, you over there that is talking so much about Christmas, you will be like the ambassador of the holiday. I know she thinks that, Mary, the mother of Joseph, is the queen. Mariah said that's the real queen of Christmas. And I get that. But as far as the festivity and the wonderment and the twinkling lights and the Christmas tree and all the commercial parts of Christmas.
Yeah, I was gonna
say Mariah. The commercial part of Christmas is Mariah. Right.
For the commercialization of Christmas, I think of Saint Nick, Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
and Mariah
Carey, and Frosty, and all the other characters. This other woman, we wish her well, we love her, but I don't know you. So I'm like, the only person I think of for the Queen of Christmas is Mariah Carey, and that song every single year goes #1 around Christmas. So I don't know why we're even having this conversation.
I think you're right. It's about the characters of Christmas,
right?
And if you think about the characters of Christmas and what makes it Christmas time,
right?
Mariah gets named in there every year by different people, and by enough people that when you think of Christmas and when somebody says, who's the queen of Christmas in a survey, 100 people will respond. I'm sorry, but the majority of them, if not all of them, are going to say Mariah Carey's the queen of Christmas. Even if you just did a blind survey, somebody just do a blind survey and they'll end the whole copyright war. Somebody put a survey up there and say, go to this website and we'll all go in. Mariah can promote it, the lady can promote it, all media outlets can promote it. And we'll just take a tally. And when the numbers come in, whoever gets the highest, let them get the trademark.
That's like, for me, even though I might be in the latter, like there is a cult classic Christmas movie by Vanessa L. Williams called A Diva's Christmas Carol. To me, I have to watch it every Christmas, so I know it's the season. There are people that go on certain platforms such as YouTube and they will stream the movie so we can watch it. But like, again, that's a ladder. It's not a lot of people. Like Mariah Carey touches like millions of people, not only in America. I'm talking about Europe, Asia, Africa. Everybody knows that song when it comes out.
Yeah. Like, and I know what people are thinking. They're thinking the little guy or the little woman is going to get railroaded by Mariah's fame. That's not what we're trying to say.
No.
This is what it is. This is what it is for me. And I'm going to give another quick one though, compared to last time when I did the Beyoncé one. When I think of queendom, I think of kingdom and the realm and the constituents of the kingdom, right? Some people's kingdoms are far reaching and some are not. When I think of the Queen of Christmas, I'm thinking of everyone that would know she was an ambassador or the representation of Christmas. That's what I'm thinking of. So for me, the King of Christmas, that's Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
One of the high court people, another person that's high up in the kingdom would be Frosty, would be Rudolph, would be all the characters, like you said, of Christmas.
Yeah.
Mariah has a golden voice, a lot of hits, has bent over backwards to make people realize the magic and the joy and have the whole spirit of Christmas all year long, if you can have it.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of Queen of Christmas, I think of her. I don't think of Mrs. Claus. So don't even tell me what about Mrs. Claus. No, Mrs. Claus is not singing those songs. Mrs. Claus is not, talking about, singing Christmas carols and singing songs that all little boys and girls want to sing. Mrs. Claus is just having Santa's back. So yes, he's the king as far as the icon, the character, but for me, the character that represents the Queen of Christmas is Mariah.
Exactly. And also, just to get back to your point, for those of us that have read her book, The Meaning of Mariah, and if you haven't, please go read it. When she wrote the song, All I Want for Christmas Is You, she wrote it from a place of like genuinely loving the holiday, because for her, Christmas was always foiled. And that was like, the one day that she wishes she had all these things for Christmas. So when you have someone like someone that wrote a song from a genuine place and you see how positively it has impacted people across the world, She then has become a fixture for Christmas. She is now a character for Christmas. She herself calls up Santa Claus. She goes to Aspen every year and calls up Santa Claus, and he comes through with the reindeer. Who else does that?
Well, my thing is, I don't think it's a title you can deem to yourself. I don't care how many albums, books, movies you put with Queen of Christmas in it. It can't be a self-determined moniker. It has to be granted to you. And Santa Claus, old Saint Nick, is not giving out titles. So it goes to the people. And I say, let's do a beautiful survey. Someone in the Lamely has to go ahead and put up a survey somewhere that we can all go in and just let us know it's available, leak it to all the media outlets, and we'll all go in and we'll vote between the two Queens of Christmases, since there's a trademark thing going on right now. And I'm sure they would love to know the trademark office, what the rest of the world thinks about it.
Honestly, I thought you were talking about a different trademark, because there's another battle going on with her song, because some guy is saying that, you know, she ripped off his song, and we're all like, we don't even know.
Oh, I know she's gonna win that. I'm talking about that lady that I saw on TV. Talking about she's the Queen of Christmas.
That's why I said
she has albums. Queen of Christmas. She's been singing songs, and I heard her. She sound okay. I
don't know her, honestly. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny or throw shade. I don't know her, so I don't know who that person is.
Yeah. So it should be a survey. So, yeah, we took a little bit of a tangent. We kind of went off on a little stage, but that's okay.
Did.
The last segment of our show is called Before the Bema Seat. We're coming to the end of season 1, and I reached out to our ram in the bush to do the Bema Seat. And probably because the person's busy, I don't know, but I've had no response back. And I'm telling God right now, I'm going to be reasoning with him this week about this, based on what the pastor said. I'm going to reason with him about the Bema Seat, the Christian Experience interview that I've only had one person do, and that was myself, and see what the Lord says to me about it. Because he keeps telling me it's fine. Leave it open. It's fine. Just leave it open. So now I'm going to tell him, like, I'm feeling some kind of way. Not about my Christian brothers and sisters that are listening, because I know all of you are enjoying yourselves, and I appreciate that. But I myself wanted to hear some great stories, that people were like, that something about their faith or a cautionary tale or something. And I was looking forward to the form being completed on the Bema Seat tab of our website at www.withquickness.com, but nothing has happened. And every time I bring it up about this virtual interview that can take place anytime during the week, not on Sundays, anytime during the week, we could interview. Resa smiles because no one has started the guest process with me.
Well, I was going to say, even though we don't have someone to do the Bema Seat, to tell, their story about their walk with Christ, there is a film coming out next Sunday, a biopic. I just wanted to mention
great.
Very briefly. It is the title is called Never Would Have Made It, the Marvin Sapp story. So it comes out August 21st at 8 p.m. on TV1. No, this is not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor us, by all means, TV1, we love you. So for those of you that don't know who Marvin Sapp is, Bishop Marvin Sapp is a gospel icon. He started out in the 90s in a group called Commissioned before he did his solo career. He is a 22-time Stellar Award winner. Okay, 22. I believe at this point he is on his 16th album. He's put out a lot of albums, like a lot. Wow. But a lot of people in the gospel world, like, he is a top of the top. They love him. We love him. He actually had a song called Never Would Have Made It. Yeah. Some of us may have also heard it in the club, because they do have like a club version. But his biopic is coming out next Sunday. I would definitely, if you liked the Clark sisters, their biopic, and if you liked Aretha Franklin's Respect biopic, I think everyone will like Marvin Sapp's biopic. Again, I have not seen it, but I do love his music, so I'm sure he probably has a really, really great story to tell. There is a trailer on YouTube. I'm sure.
Really?
I'm sure we'll probably add it on our website about his story, but definitely check it out.
I hope they got a good actor to play him. I hope he looks something like him.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but he's been in other gospel movies that I've seen before. But yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
Okay. Sounds like it's coming on the 21st.
Yep, the 21st. So it's next
Oh,
Sunday.
that might be our movie for next Sunday then.
Mhm.
How about that? We will
Exactly.
promote it because that way you just save me researching what I'm going to do for the movie of the week. So that'll be great. We'll promote them next Sunday and we'll have that trailer up. So thank you, Resa, for that.
You're
That's a great little tip. And the wine, you said Sapp,
Marvin
right?
Sapp, yeah.
He was part of like a brother singing group, or was he part of a singing group at all?
Yeah, he was a part of a group. They were called Commission.
Commission, that's right.
And it was in the
That's
90s.
who they say you are still tying back to the Jersey of our
See?
show, because they say the group Fire is like a young Commission. Haha. See? They're like a young Commission mixed with a little bit of wine, mixed with a little bit of New Edition, and yet they got their own flavor.
Full circle moment.
Full circle moment of the show. This has been a wonderful episode with you. It's a longer one, but we covered a lot of stuff that I didn't even think we would cover.
We did, honestly, but hopefully, everyone will enjoy this week's episode.
I hope you have a great week, Resa.
Thank you, and I hope you have a great week as well.
All right, everyone, have a good week, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
I just can't stop thinking about you. I just can't stop thinking about you. I just can't stop.